love, pain, truth.
Eleanor sat alone at her kitchen table, staring at a cup of tea that had gone cold a long time ago. The house was too quiet these days. For years, this kitchen was the loudest room in the neighborhood. It used to smell like burning toast and spaghetti sauce, and it was filled with the sounds of shouting, laughing, and fighting. But now, the silence felt heavy, like a weight sitting on her chest. She picked up her phone to check the time. No messages. It had been 2 years since David left, and honestly, Eleanor was okay with that. They had grown apart, and she was learning to live on her own. But David didn't just leave her. He quickly replaced her with Veronica. Veronica was everything Eleanor wasn't. She was 10 years younger, drove a luxury car, and never seemed to have a hair out of place. But the hardest part wasn't that David loved her. The hardest part was that Eleanor's children, Lucas and Mia, seemed to love her more. At first, Eleanor told herself she was imagining it. She told herself that kids just liked the fun parent who bought them things. David always had more money than her, and now with Veronica's help, they were living a life of luxury. Eleanor worked a steady job, but she couldn't afford fancy vacations or brand new cars. She could only offer a home-cooked meal and a listening ear. It started with the Sunday dinners. Eleanor used to cook roast chicken with all the trimmings every Sunday. It was a rule. No matter what, the family came together. But then the excuses started rolling in. "Sorry, Mom. We are going to the lake house with Dad and Veronica," Lucas would say. "Mom, Veronica's taking us shopping for the day. We'll catch up next week," Mia would text. Next week turned into next month. The roast chicken stopped being made. The leftovers sat in the fridge until they went bad. Just like Eleanor's hope of seeing her kids. Then came the birthday incident. Lucas was turning 24. Eleanor had spent weeks thinking about the perfect gift. She remembered how much he loved photography when he was a teenager, before he got busy with college and his new friends. She saved up her extra money and bought him a vintage lens she found at a pawn shop. It wasn't flashy, but it was thoughtful. She wrapped it carefully in blue paper and wrote a long card inside, telling him how proud she was of the man he was becoming. She drove to his apartment on a Saturday evening, excited to surprise him. She didn't call first because, in her mind, mothers don't need an appointment to see their sons on their birthday. When she walked up to the door, she could hear the bass from the music thumping through the walls. She knocked, but nobody heard. She tried the handle, and it was unlocked. She stepped inside, expecting to see Lucas and a few friends eating pizza. What she saw stopped her in her tracks. The apartment was packed. There were professional fairy lights strung up, a DJ in the corner, and tables filled with expensive catered food, sushi, platters of meats, and a massive ice sculpture. In the middle of the room stood Lucas, holding a glass of expensive champagne, laughing. But the person next to him wasn't Eleanor. It was Veronica. She had her arm wrapped around Lucas's waist, holding him tight like a prize she had won. She was wearing a bright red dress that sparkled under the lights. She looked radiant. Eleanor, in her beige cardigan and holding a small blue box, looked completely out of place. Lucas turned and saw his mother. The smile on his face didn't disappear, but it changed. It went from a genuine smile of happiness to a stiff, awkward, polite grimace. He walked over to her, leaving Veronica behind. "Mom," he said, not hugging her. "I didn't know you were coming." "Happy birthday, sweetie," Eleanor said, her voice shaking a little. She held out the blue box. "I know it's not much, but I saw this lens and thought of you." Lucas looked at the box, then back at the party behind him. "Oh, thanks, but Mom, Veronica actually already bought me that new camera I wanted." "The really expensive one. It's over there." He pointed to a table where a high-tech camera bag sat next to a stack of gifts that looked like they had been wrapped by professionals. "You should have told me you were planning a party," Eleanor said, trying to keep her voice steady. "I would have dressed differently." "It was kind of a last-minute thing," Lucas lied. Eleanor knew it wasn't true. "You don't hire sushi chefs last minute." Just then, Mia walked up. She was dressed in a new dress that Eleanor had never seen before, holding a fancy cocktail. She looked at Eleanor with wide eyes, then quickly glanced at Veronica, as if checking to make sure the boss wasn't watching. "Hi, Mom," Mia said softly. "Hi, honey. You look beautiful," Eleanor said, reaching out to touch her daughter's arm. Mia pulled away slightly, a reflex that cut Eleanor deeper than any knife could. "Thanks," Mia muttered. "Veronica took us to get manicures today. It was so much fun." Eleanor felt like she was intruding on a stranger's family. These were her children. She had changed their diapers. She had sat up all night with them when they had fevers. She had helped them with their homework until her eyes burned. And now they were looking at this other woman with a look of total adoration. "Mom, listen," Lucas said, rubbing the back of his neck. "It's really loud in here. And we have a lot of friends. You know, people from Dad's work. Maybe we can do coffee next week? Just the two of us." He was asking her to leave. On her son's birthday, she was being asked to leave so there would be more room for the important people. Before Eleanor could say anything, Veronica appeared. She smelled like expensive perfume. She put a hand on Lucas's shoulder and looked at Eleanor with a sweet smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Eleanor, so lovely to see you," Veronica said in a high, chirpy voice. "I'm so sorry, we just didn't plan for extra guests and the catering is running a bit low. You understand how these parties get. So chaotic." The insult was subtle, but it was there. Asterisk, you are not a guest here. You are not welcome. Asterisk, Eleanor looked at Lucas, waiting for him to step in. She waited for him to say, "Don't be rude, she's my mother." But he just stood there, swaying slightly to the music, looking uncomfortable. I just wanted to drop this off," Eleanor said, placing the blue box on a table full of expensive wine bottles. "It looks small and sad sitting there." "Well, thank you," Veronica said. "Drive safe, darling." Eleanor turned around and walked out the door. She didn't say goodbye to Mia. She couldn't trust herself to speak without crying. She got into her car and sat there for a long time, watching the shadows of people dancing in the window of her son's apartment. She saw a silhouette of Lucas laughing, his head thrown back. He looked happy. He looked like he was having the time of his life. And she realized with a terrifying clarity that he didn't need her anymore. Not only did he not need her, but he also didn't even want her around. She was a reminder of the old life, the boring life, the life before the money and the parties. She had been pushed out, replaced by a woman who bought their affection with shiny things and good times. Eleanor put the key in the ignition. She wiped a single tear off her cheek with the back of her hand. She didn't go straight home. She just drove, letting the city lights blur past her, feeling more alone than she had ever felt in her entire life. She didn't know it yet, but this was just the beginning of the end. Fate was far from done with her family. For the first few weeks after the birthday party, Eleanor waited by the phone. She kept telling herself that Lucas would call. She thought he would realize how rude he had been and apologize. She thought Mia would come over for tea like she used to, complaining about school or boys. But the phone stayed silent. The only notifications Eleanor got were pictures on social media. She would see photos of Lucas and Mia posing on a boat, or drinking expensive wine at a fancy restaurant. In every picture, Veronica was right there in the middle, her arm around them, smiling like a movie star. They looked perfect. They looked like a family. And Eleanor looked at her own quiet living room, with her knitting and her books, and felt like she had been erased from the script. As the months went by, Eleanor began to notice that her children were changing. And it wasn't just that they were rich now. They were becoming different people. It started with Lucas. He had always been a sensible kid. He worked hard at his job at a bank and saved his money. But one afternoon, Eleanor was driving through town and she saw him. He was getting out of a bright red sports car that roared like a tiger. Eleanor pulled over, her heart pounding. She knew Lucas's salary. There was no way he could afford that car. He was wearing a designer suit and sunglasses that probably cost more than her monthly grocery bill. She rolled down the window and called out to him. "Lucas! Lucas, wait a minute!" Lucas turned. When he saw it was his mother, he didn't smile. He looked annoyed. He checked his watch and sighed. "Hey, Mom. I'm kind of in a rush. Where did you get that car?" Eleanor asked, stepping out of her own vehicle. "Lucas, you can't afford a lease like that." "I didn't lease it," Lucas said, leaning against the shiny door. "Veronica bought it for me. It's a birthday gift, actually. An early one." "She bought you a $50,000 car?" Eleanor asked, her voice rising in disbelief. "Lucas, nothing in life is free. What does she want from you?" "She doesn't want anything." Lucas snapped, his face turning red. "She just wants to help us." "She's generous, Mom. Something you wouldn't understand. You always taught us to pinch pennies and worry. Veronica teaches us to live." "That's not living, Lucas. That's being dependent," Eleanor pleaded. "Please be careful. You don't know this woman. You don't know where her money comes from." Lucas laughed, a cold, hard sound. "Jealousy doesn't look good on you. Mom, just because you're stuck in that old house and driving that beat-up sedan doesn't mean I have to be. We're done with this conversation." He got back into his car, revved the engine loud enough to make Eleanor jump, and sped off, leaving her standing in a cloud of exhaust fumes. Eleanor felt sick. She wasn't jealous of the money. She was terrified that her son was being bought. Things with Mia were even worse. Mia had always wanted to be a teacher. She loved children, and she was halfway through her degree at the local college. Eleanor was so proud of her. But then, Mia stopped coming to class. Eleanor found out from a friend of Mia's that she had dropped out. When Eleanor finally managed to get Mia on the phone after 3 days of calling, she demanded to know why. "I'm pursuing my passion." "Mom," Mia's voice floated through the speaker, sounding airy and distant. "School is so suffocating. Veronica has connections. She's going to introduce me to an agency. I'm going to be a model." "Mia, you're smart," Eleanor said, gripping the phone so tight her knuckles turned white. "You have a future in teaching. Modeling? That's a hard life, honey. And Veronica isn't an agent. She's playing with you. You're just jealous because you never took risks." Mia shot back. "You stayed in that little town your whole life. You have no vision. Veronica sees potential in me that you're too blind to see. We're moving to the city next month to be closer to the agency." Eleanor felt like she was shouting into a void. "David let you drop out? Your father agreed to this." "Dad trusts us," Mia said. "And he trusts Veronica. Why can't you just be happy for us?" "I am your mother," Eleanor whispered, tears spilling over her cheeks. "I love you. That's why I'm worried." "You call it love," Mia said cold. "I call it holding us back. Don't call me for a while, Mom. I need to focus on my career." The line went dead. The months that followed were a nightmare for Eleanor. Every time she tried to reach out, she was met with a wall of silence or angry texts. David even called her once, telling her to leave them alone. "Look, Eleanor," David said, sounding tired. "The kids are happy. Veronica is good for them. You're stressing everyone out with your conspiracy theories? Just let it go." Eleanor stopped calling. She stopped texting. She realized that if she pushed any harder, they would just hate her more. She had to wait and hope that the crash wouldn't be too bad. She spent her days in her garden, pulling up weeds and planting flowers. It was the only thing she could control. She watched the seasons change. Summer turned into autumn. The leaves fell, and the air grew crisp. During this time, Eleanor's loneliness turned into a strange kind of numbness. She got used to eating dinner alone. She got used to the silence. It hurt, but it was a dull ache now, not a sharp pain. She told herself that at least they were safe. At least they were together. She tried to convince herself that she was wrong about Veronica. Maybe Veronica really did love them. Maybe she was just a generous woman who wanted to help. But deep down, Eleanor's motherly instinct kept screaming that something was wrong. You don't buy people's love with sports cars and empty dreams. Real love is messy and hard. It's about sacrifice, not shiny things. Then came the night that changed everything. It was a Tuesday in late November. The wind was howling outside, rattling the window panes. Eleanor was in her bathrobe, reading a book in bed. It was past midnight. Her phone, which she kept on the nightstand just in case, buzzed. She picked it up, expecting it to be a spam call. But the number on the screen was the local hospital. Eleanor's heart skipped a beat. "Hello? Is this Eleanor?" a voice asked. It sounded hurried and serious. "Yes, this is Eleanor. What's happened? Is it Mia, Lucas?" "It's your ex-husband, David," the voice said. "He was brought in an hour ago. He suffered a massive heart attack. He is in critical condition. I'm afraid you need to come right away." Eleanor felt the blood drain from her face. David, despite everything, he was the father of her children. He was the man she had spent 20 years of her life with. "I'm on my way," she whispered. She threw on clothes and grabbed her keys, her hands shaking so badly she dropped them twice. She drove through the dark, empty streets, praying. Please let him be okay. Please let the kids be there. She burst into the emergency room, breathless and terrified. She ran to the reception desk. "David, I'm here for David," she gasped. The nurse pointed down a long white hallway. "Waiting room is that way, but the family is already in the consultation room with the doctor." Eleanor felt a small wave of relief. Good, she thought. Lucas and Mia were there. They were together. They would face this as a family. She ran down the hall, her sneakers squeaking on the floor. She threw open the door to the consultation room, ready to hold her children, ready to support them. "Eleanor?" a voice said. It was the doctor, looking at her with sad eyes. But the room was not full of people hugging and crying. It was empty, except for the doctor and a police officer standing in the corner. "Where are they?" Eleanor asked, looking around frantically. "Where are Lucas and Mia? Where is Veronica?" The doctor stepped forward and gently closed the door. The look on his face made Eleanor's blood turn to ice. "Mrs. Eleanor," he said quietly. "I'm sorry to tell you this, but David has passed away." The words hit her like a physical blow. She stumbled back against the wall. No, that's impossible." "I'm sorry," the doctor said again. "But there is something else. We have been trying to reach the children, but we can't find them. And the police, they have some questions regarding Mr. David's accounts." Eleanor stared at him, confused and grieving. "What do you mean you can't find them? They were supposed to be here." The police officer stepped forward. "Ma'am, we went to David's house. It looks like someone packed up in a hurry. And the bank froze the accounts this evening. There's no money left for the funeral. It seems everyone has disappeared." Eleanor looked at the empty chairs in the room. She thought of the sports car, the modeling dreams, the flashy parties. The silence of the last 6 months roared in her ears. She realized then that the worst wasn't that David was gone. The worst was that her children were walking into a trap, and there was no one left to catch them but her. Eleanor sat in the hard plastic chair of the hospital waiting room, her hands folded tightly in her lap. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, a harsh, constant noise that made her head pound. It was 4 a.m. The doctor had gone, and the police officer was standing by the window, talking quietly into his radio. David was gone. Just like that. The father of her children, the man she had spent half her life with, had passed away alone in a sterile room while the woman he thought loved him was nowhere to be found. The police officer, a kind-looking man with a tired face, walked over to her. "Mrs. Eleanor, I'm sorry to keep you waiting. We've made some calls. It looks bad. It looks like Veronica cleaned out the accounts before she left. There's no money for the funeral home to release the body yet. I'm afraid you're going to have to sort that out." Eleanor nodded slowly. She wasn't surprised, but the pain of it was like a stone in her stomach. "I'll figure it out," she whispered. "I always do." Just then, the double doors at the end of the hall flew open with a bang. Eleanor flinched. Lucas stumbled into the waiting room, his hair messy, his eyes wild. Mia was right behind him, wearing sweatpants and a hoodie, looking pale and terrified. They looked nothing like the polished, happy kids in the photos on social media. They looked like scared children. "Mom!" Lucas shouted, his voice echoing in the empty hallway. He ran to her, dropping into the chair next to hers. Is he gone?" "Yes, Lucas," Eleanor said softly. "He passed away an hour ago." Lucas put his head in his hands and let out a loud, sobbing breath. Mia stood there shaking, tears streaming down her face. For a moment, Eleanor thought they were crying for their father. She reached out to put a hand on Lucas's back, trying to offer comfort. But then Lucas sat up, his eyes red and frantic. He didn't look at Eleanor with love. He looked at her with desperation. "Where is she?" he demanded, grabbing Eleanor's arm. "Where's Veronica? Did she come here?" The question was like a slap in the face. Eleanor pulled her arm away gently. "No, Lucas, she's not here. She's gone." "What do you mean gone?" Mia screeched, stepping forward. "She was supposed to meet us at the house. We drove there and the garage is empty. Her car is gone. Her clothes are gone. Where did she go?" Eleanor looked at them, really looked at them, and saw the terror in their eyes. It wasn't the terror of losing a parent. It was the terror of losing their safety net. "Sit down. Both of you," Eleanor said, her voice steadier than she felt. They sat, looking like naughty students in the principal's office. "The police officer told me a little while ago," Eleanor began. "Veronica is gone. The money is gone too. The bank accounts were emptied yesterday. The house, well, David didn't own it outright anymore. Veronica took out loans against it. There is nothing left." Silence filled the room. It was so heavy you could touch it. Lucas stared at her, his mouth opened slightly. That's impossible. She loved us. She was helping us. She was a con artist, Lucas, Eleanor said gently. She used you to get to David. And once she got the money, she left. "My car," Lucas whispered, his face turning white as a sheet. "The bank. I didn't buy the car. She leased it under my name but with her credit. If she's gone, they're going to take the car. I can't afford the payments. And my modeling," Mia cried out, her voice cracking. "The agency fees. Veronica paid for everything. I have no money for rent. I have nothing." Eleanor watched them as the reality crashed down on them. The shiny life, the parties, the expensive clothes, it had all been a bubble that just popped. They had sold out their real mother, the one person who would have loved them without money, for a fantasy that didn't exist. "We have to call the police," Mia sobbed. "We have to find her." "She's long gone, honey," Eleanor said. "The police said she used a fake identity. They don't know who she really is. She planned this." Lucas suddenly jumped up. "I can't believe this. This is a nightmare." He turned to Eleanor, his eyes pleading. "Mom, you have to help us. You have money saved, right? You can pay for the funeral? You can help us with the rent?" Eleanor looked at her son. The entitlement was still there, buried under the panic. He still thought she was a backup plan, a safety net he could kick and then run back to when things got hard. But she saw something else there too. She saw shame. For the first time in 2 years, he looked at her and saw that she was the strong one. "I have some savings," Eleanor said slowly. "I will pay for David's funeral. He deserves that." "Thank God," Lucas breathed, sinking back into the chair. "But," Eleanor continued, her voice hardening just a little, "I am not paying for your rent, Lucas. And I am not paying for your lifestyle. Mia, Veronica is gone, and you made your choices. You pushed me away. You told me I was boring and jealous. You chose her path. Now you have to live with the consequences." "Mom, please," Mia begged, grabbing Eleanor's hand. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. We were stupid. We didn't know." I know you didn't know, Eleanor said, squeezing her daughter's hand. But you didn't trust me. You trusted the money. And now the money is gone. Eleanor stood up. She felt old and incredibly tired, but she also felt a strange sense of peace. She wasn't the victim anymore. She was the mother. She was the adult in the room. I have a spare room at my house, she said. It's small. It's not the lake house, and there's no sushi. But you can stay there for a few weeks while you figure out how to get a job and pay your own bills. Lucas, you can sell that fancy watch Veronica gave you. That should cover your first month of rent somewhere. Lucas and Mia looked at each other. They were broken. They were humbled. They had lost their father and their fortune in the same night. Okay, Lucas whispered, hanging his head. Okay, Mom, thank you. They followed Eleanor out of the hospital and into the early morning chill. The sun was just starting to come up, casting a pale light over the parking lot. They walked to Eleanor's old, reliable sedan. It was scratched and dented, and the heater didn't work perfectly, but it was real dot as they drove away from the hospital, leaving David behind. Nobody spoke much. But in the silence, Eleanor felt a shift. Mia reached up from the back seat and rested her hand on Eleanor's shoulder. It wasn't much, but it was a start. Fate had revealed a painful reality. It had stripped away the fake gold and the fake smiles to show them what was real. They had lost everything, but they were driving home with the one person they had treated the worst. It was going to be a long, hard road to earn back the trust they had broken, but for the first time in a long time, they were all going in the same direction.